everywhere with me.
Don't you?
I've not brought it on.
Do you polish it quite often?
Let's not go there. Hey, let's not go there.
This is daytime, isn't it?
Jimmy, what's this about the Prince of Wales?
I think I did the raw variety thing last year, and he quite liked it, I think.
What did he say?
He said, very funny indeed, very good deadpannery. Now, obviously, deadpannery isn't a word, but it's his mum's English, so he can say what he wants.
No, he didn't. I think he probably meant that he didn't think it was funny.
You think he meant that?
I think he probably...
I liked it. Actually, he's an interesting guy to meet, because when you shake his hand... I mean, he's an unusual guy. I met him. I was quite excited, actually. I didn't think I would be. I'm not a royalist.
Yeah.
Met him, shook his hand. He's got a proper kind of farmer's hand.
Yeah.
Proper gardener's hand. And it actually made me like him a lot more. I thought, well, that's interesting.
Yes, he's worked the soil.
Possibly it wasn't that interesting, I'm not sure.
No, people have found it quite
Did you meet
interesting.
Camilla? Because we had the lady on talking about the Camilla
I didn't meet Camilla, you know.
What would you say to Camilla if you met her?
Excuse me, you're going down
My horse,
here.
a kingdom for a horse.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
OK.
excellent. What did you think of the Disney stuff?
Disney stuff?
Do you collect Disney
No, not often, no. Not as much as I'd like. No, I've no idea why... It seems a bit of an obsessive sort of thing to do, but, you know, fine.
It's going to make you a lot of money one day.
But surely the idea of owning that stuff is to love it and cherish it, not to sell it on for profit.
No, but people do both.
Right.
OK.
Well, that's a lovely thought.
Looking back into your past, as we have done extensively, you were quite obsessive at the beginning, were you not, about comedy?
Oh, well, no, I still am. I still go out and play gigs every night.
Every night?
Pretty much, yeah.
But comedians are obsessive.
She's right, you know.
Yeah.
And they're manic-depressive.
Well, hang on. I was liking you up to the obsessive. I thought, hang on, I'm in with a Bond girl. And then depressive.
So does the obsession take the form of going to other comedians' gigs and things like that?
I go to loads and loads of shows and see other things. Yeah, you know, you just get very excited about it. It's like kind of getting into rock and roll music, where you go to lots of gigs and you kind of get excited about your favourite bands and you just kind of love it. I think comedians tend to be big comedy fans that have just kind of taken their interest a bit too far.
You obviously love it.
Yeah.
You got a bit sidetracked early on in life, didn't you? You were doing something else for a living. And,
yeah, I worked in the oil business for a while.
Yeah.
It's not as much fun as they make out. To be honest with you, I thought with the glamour, the glitz, the dancing girls, it was rubbish. And then I ended up doing quite a lot of psychotherapy, and then I thought, I tell you what, making people laugh for a living, that's the way forward, surely.
Yeah. Why did you take up psychotherapy?
I was manically depressed.
See, you weren't wrong, Mariam. Good diagnosis.
Tell us about Distraction, your new TV show.
Distraction. It's well, I did a show called Your Face or Mine, and I wanted to do something that would make that look highbrow. So I went for Distraction. It's basically you ask people very simple questions, but you try and distract them. So, for example, they don't have buzzers, but they're electrocuted. So when they press the buzzer, they get a massive electric shock.
That's great.
That puts them off. And then there's another game where, before they ask a question, they don't have a buzzer, they have to do a little wee.
Sorry? They have to do a little wee?
Yeah, they have to do a little tiny wee before they answer a question.
What, say we or
no, do
relieve themselves?
Yeah, relieve themselves.
What, just
It's
there?
quite mental.
Yeah.
We've got wrestlers in as well. We've got WWF wrestlers in to wrestle people for a minute while they answer questions. And then when they do win a prize, we tend to make them smash it up.
What's the lucky network that's showing this?
Channel 4, God bless them.
When did it start?
It starts on, I think, Halloween, the 31st of October.
That seems quite apt, really.
Yeah, it'll be an awful lot of fun.
Oh, like, I have to say, I'm looking forward to the wrestler and the weeing and the whole thing.
Good, yeah.
The wrestler and the wee doesn't happen together, unfortunately.
I'm disappointed.
Although, I could let you borrow some specialist videos if that's the kind of thing you like.
Jimmy Carr, thank you.
Jim's got a new show called Charm Offensive, which you can see is a natural for it, isn't it? And now, favourite to take over the Conservative leadership due to his mass and appeal, it's Britain's favourite wise guy, the Baker Man, Danny Baker.
There's a huge proportion of Dutch people in the audience today over that side.
I'm standing for you, yes.
Thank you very much, yes.
They're looking at us with
Jimmy
a kind
is
of
a gentleman.
bemused expression.
He told me about the lippy on my teeth, so there we go.
I
Real
don't know
gentleman.
about that. As we're doing any other business before we get going here, could I apologise, make one of the rare apologies I've been forced, and grovelling as it is, on television. Because earlier on, you might have heard me bad-mouthing a viewer who was good enough to write a letter to me correcting me on something I'd said.
Yes.
His name is Mr. Glebe in Stoke-on-Trent.
Yes.
Well, apparently he is a real viewer. And not, as I said backstage, an attempt to sabotage this spot by none other than TV's roly-poly Fern Britton. I thought it was Fern Britton trying to trip up me, and Mr. Glebe, I can only apologise. If you do come to the studios, I'll give you a £10 note. I'm sorry I said, you know, I'm sorry.
You and Fern.
What about me and Fern? Could you imagine the children?
Carl in Southend wants
Could you
to
imagine
know.
the nappies? Wow.
Carl in Southend wants to know.
Carl in Southend wants to know.
Are there any animals that can't reproduce?
A nutty old question. Are there any animals that can't reproduce? Well, when I was in makeup, before I do go to makeup, they said, well, it's the seals, isn't it? And because everyone says that, they all say it's a seal.
They don't talk like that.
They do talk about a seal. In between showing photos of babies, we get round to talking about seahorses. The seahorse, because everyone knows about the seahorse because it's the male that does the business and has the babies. And that is where the confusion turned up. By the way, you wait to see my makeup tomorrow now.
Sorry,
after I've
the
said
male
that.
seahorse has the babies?
Yes,
yes.
The male seahorse has the babies. A very progressive animal, your seahorse. But the question is, are there any animals that cannot reproduce at all? Now, what kind of animal would that be? What kind of future would it have? But of course, there is. The mule. The mule is the offspring, of course, but this is the offspring of a horse and a donkey, yes?
Yes, indeed.
Makes a mule. Yeah. All mules are born absolutely sterile. You put two mules in a room, no matter how much you serenade them, leave them alone, they make pandas look like they're constantly active. Mules, in themselves, cannot reproduce. You have to have a horse, you have to have a donkey, therefore, yes, there is an animal that cannot reproduce. It is the mule.
Thank you.
Absolutely never seen a case or any complications, but what I have seen